I think our team does a really good job at executing weekends and maximizing. So we just have to go out there and do it one more time.
You mentioned on the downloader this week that like at this point last year you didn't even won an oval yet. So how do you feel? It seems like you're ahead of schedule now.
Hopefully. We've definitely had good speed in our cars. This has been a solid place for us at Phoenix. So I think it should be a place where we can go and execute a good race and hopefully be towards the front. But you never know. We're going to unload and practice tomorrow and see what we got and adjust from there.
Is there any fear that Chandler will retaliate?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not really thinking about it that way. At the end of the day, I'm just going to go and run my race and see where we end up and try and maximize the day and race how you get raced and you go from there. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to focus on our weekend.
How much can you take from last year and apply it to this year?
Definitely a lot. I mean, just how you go about your weekend, when to be aggressive, when not to be, and just the whole flow of the weekend definitely, helps out. So, and I think having a notebook also with our cars, so it's been a solid place at Phoenix for us. Hopefully just keep building on that.
What would it mean to you to win back-to-back before you go back to Cup and join that list of drivers who've done that?
It'd be huge. And I think from another standpoint, just having the shot to win a championship in NASCAR, you don't get a ton of shots at that. So you want to make every single opportunity at that count. So we're going to try and make that happen and hopefully have that title again.
Everybody tries to put on their best effort. Everybody tries to rise to the occasion. Everybody tries to be the best job, do the best job that they can. And so I think that this fall race, just everything ratchets up, intensity ratchets up, and it's definitely not easy. None of these are easy, but this one's probably, if you look at it from a statistical standpoint, this was probably the hardest one of the year.
You pull in Phoenix every year, or would you like to see it jump around a little bit?
Well, obviously I love Phoenix, and this is a great racetrack for me. So, yes, I like it being here. But at the same time, I'm not opposed to it moving around. I feel like, as a team and as a driver, we want to see the best driver win the championship, right? We all want the most competition we can have. I know sometimes it gets, somebody's like, oh, well, if this car's out, isn't that a great thing? I'm like, no, I would rather have the competition, right? You want to beat your peers. You want to be, in the moment. If the worst team in the league and the best team in the league and Major League Baseball went against each other in the World Series, the team that won wouldn't feel really good about it, right? So we want to see that happen, and I think that for us, I think this racetrack does a good job of giving you who the best team is, but at the same time, if it moved, it wouldn't bother me either.
Austin said that he doesn't really worry about any of his competition for the championship. He worries more about the other drivers on the track. Do you have that same theory, or do you have a fear of or worry about any of these guys up here?
I mean, at the end of the day, you never know what to expect. Again, going back to something I said earlier, is this weekend is setting you up for 2025, right? For us as the Final Four, we're obviously going for a championship. There's a lot on the line. But for the other competitors, they're looking at what does my job look like for next year if they don't already have one. Can I put myself in a better position? Can I go win a race, right? How do I set the tone for the off season for my team and for our sponsors to kind of re-energize ourselves for next year? So, while it is the four of us racing against each other, that's the one thing that I love about the sport of NASCAR. Our championship game isn't against two teams, right? It's against the entire field, and it just happens to be that our championship four are kind of intermixing their way in between. And so, yes, you have to be cognizant of the other competitors. Yes, I have to be cognizant of these other three up here with me as well. And I think the last thing is, you got to know what somebody's willing to do to win a championship. And I don't know that, Cole last year and I had a great battle. I've not battled AJ and Austin, at least as of late, for a championship. So, you don't know what their mindset is going into this weekend. So you have to be thinking about it, but at the same time, our job is to go out there and win the race, and I think we can do that.
What are you willing to do to get a championship?
Go win the race. I mean, I think there's a lot of respect amongst the four drivers in this Final Four. It's unique. There's a lot of experience in all forms of NASCAR in this Final Four, and I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Hey, Justin, knowing how fast that car was at the end of the spring, how long did it take you to get over what happened here?
How far are we from the spring race? Because I'm not sure that I'm still over it, to be honest with you. I think that this sport gives and it takes away, right? And God's plan isn't always Like, it's not for us to question it. It doesn't always fit the narrative that you want it to fit. And I think for me in the spring, I felt like we had it. It was done. It was over with. It was, like I felt like that was what was meant to be, and we walked out of here. And I was actually more okay with it in the moment than I was the week after, or 2 weeks after, right? And as the year progressed, and we didn't have those cars. We had really fast cars, but we didn't have that situation, more than once. It let it fester a little bit, and I told Jim this week, I said, I've let that go, but I also feel like it gives me a new passion to come here and win, right? I've been lucky enough to win here in the past, and this gives me that much more motivation to come here and try to win. And I don't know if that happens or not, but that's definitely something that I'm feeling.
Was that car able to be fixed, or did it end up being a total loss?
That car was not fixable. That car definitely was hurt. The way that I hit, kind of hitting driver's side, those left side door bars were pretty mangled. You don't think about Phoenix as being a high speed racetrack, right? I mean, you look at some of the bigger tracks we go to as being more high speed, and I felt it initially when I crashed, and I thought, man, that was a harder hit than I thought it was going to be. And then when we got the car back, obviously it was a lot harder hit. So
yeah. Do you feel that that speed you showed was a good omen, or with the crash and all the months it's been, do you feel like things are much different now than they were then?
Well, I think things are different now. We've over the course of time, early in the year, rules changes, things like that. You're kind of learning those when you get to here. Whereas by the time you get to the end of the year, you've kind of scienced your cars out. You understand where you're at, as a company, engine-wise. You kind of understand where everything's at when you come into a race like this. And I feel like this race in particular, I feel like everybody takes the spring race, they take what they've learned, and they kind of apply it throughout the year, and then you end up with a concept of coming into here of what we've seen. And I feel like our team, when I look back at the notes and I look back at what we've been doing over these last number of races, Jim's focus, whether he'll admit it or not, has been getting to Phoenix. Not getting to Phoenix, but winning Phoenix, and he's really been focusing on that for a number of weeks now, and he kind of left it up to me to get him here, right? And I feel good about our program and where our car's at, and what we're going to accomplish this weekend, because I know that I've got the best team on pit road, and I know that when they put their heart and soul into it, that anything's possible. And I feel like the car that we're bringing, the group that we're bringing, we got every chance at coming here and winning.
This is your 7th championship for. So how great is it to have that extra experience of being there, doing that, but also at the same time, is there some, I guess, mental
disappointment?
Toll? Yeah,
there's a lot of disappointment.
Being there so long and just not being able to.
I mean, I don't know. I think my goal is every year to come to make it to the Final Four. There's no guarantees you're going to win this thing ever, right? This sport doesn't owe any of us anything, and we can walk out of here again on Saturday night as not a champion. But I feel like we've done all the right things. We've experienced the experiences. We've had the trials and tribulations that we've gone through, and we put ourselves in position to be here this weekend with a car and a team that I think is capable of doing it. The other 6 don't matter, right? The other 6 are different times, different places. We've had more speed this year than we've had in years past, and that's what's going to be the difference maker for me, I think, when we go into Saturday.
Thank you.
You talked about how last year you guys missed it on executing the weekend. Can you give a little more detail about where you thought that went wrong?
I think it's more of a we were focused maybe on some of the wrong things. Jim Pullman and I talked a lot about it as far as balance goes and cars go, and he's like he's let it eat up at him over the course of time. He says I didn't give your car good enough to win it, and I disagreed with him because I think that it's not one piece of the puzzle that's going to be the difference maker. It's kind of having the whole puzzle together and seeing the bigger picture. And I'm proud of our team last year. We put ourselves in position off of turn 2 on a green, white, checkered. We did all the right things, and just Cole did an amazing job, and their team brought a better race car. We have to do that this year. We have to come here with what we think is the best car that we can to not only compete but to win a race. And there's nothing more than I would want than to come out of here as the race winner, right? You want to win a championship, but you want to put an exclamation on it too and be the race winner. So I think that we have the car and the team to do that, and we're going to go out there and execute the best job we can.
I can for sure say I would. You're going to do what it takes to try to win it, but I think you want to look at yourself in the mirror and be happy in the way it went down. So, I think we have that respect. And as I said, I mean, we're still going to be aggressive and things like that. But, at the end of the day, at least I want to win it the right way. Makes sense.
How neat would it be to just have the opportunity to be back here now that as a dad, and now should you win, how special it would be to have that now that if you've grown as a competitor?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. It's as this year hasn't gone very well, and the one race that we won, Tara and Arrow weren't there, so I'd like to win with them actually at the racetrack and be able to share that victory lane. It's interesting because I wouldn't say that the determination or the intensity or anything like that. I'm still the same person. Like, fatherhood hasn't changed me in that way. It's, but there's still certain aspects where you can have a tough weekend. I look at Iowa, for instance, blew tires in both races and finished last in both races, and you get back to the motorhome and Arrow's bouncing around and just wants to jump on you, and that helps a little bit. But yeah, it would be extra special that if it were to happen to be able to have them here and share that with them in victory lane. And it's just, I do truly feel like it's an honor to be able to be a part of this. And I don't know the number, but I would say there's probably only a few to whatever hundreds of people that can say that they're NASCAR champions in the top 3 series. So it's something that I'd love to be a part of, but it's more. I'm trying to do it more for everybody in college racing. Like, that would be the satisfaction that I would get out of it, is to be able to bring Matt and Chris and all the men and women a championship. So having Tara and Arrow a part of this, they see the ups and downs. And, maybe Arrow doesn't quite get it, but my wife definitely sees the struggle I go through at times when it's not going well, because I put so much on myself. But it's stuff like this that makes it all worth it when you have an opportunity to go do this.
You and Chris after Vegas didn't sugarcoat like how much struggles you guys have had at this track. How much has gone in over the last 3 weeks?
I'll put it to you this way: it's if it doesn't go well this weekend, it's not from lack of effort; it's from lack of talent, probably on my end. Honestly, it's we cannot be any more prepared than the way it's went since Vegas, with building the race car, running sim laps. Daniel Dye has done a lot as well to try to help us. He's been a guy that all year, and not even to get into what we do in sim, but like the tire coating and trying to figure that out. So he's done a lot. I mean, he's been there through all of it as well, and it's like I said, there's no promises tomorrow when we unload, but I can promise you it's not lack effort. We are fully prepared, more than we ever have been, for one race.
Out of the 3 tries with colleague over, was it 20 and 21, do you feel like this is the best then?
Yeah, I mean, this is our second opportunity. In 22, we just missed it in Martinsville, but honestly, it was one of the things that after Martinsville, when we missed it, I'm like, okay, we didn't miss much. Like, it's same deal. We knew going to Phoenix, if we were in it, we weren't going to be really competitive for the championship. And that race, we had a good race, but we were never against the top 3 guys of beating them. So, it's like I think we're all a little nervous because we want to unload and have the speed in the race car, but it's more confident than because it really, those 2 years, it was like, okay, no matter what we do, we're probably going to need a miracle. I feel like if we get it right, we will have the speed to go win this race.
So I know you guys like to joke about the disqualifications early on, but I guess how much more satisfying is it that you have reached to this point where you guys have, contended for those spots in the championship?
Yeah, I mean, it's been, this year's a totally different year, right? Like the previous couple of years, we won a lot of races and we had a lot of bonus points, and I think people expected us to make it. And this year, hell, there was a time in the middle of the summer where Chris and I started looking at each other. I'm like, damn, we might just have to do something to make the playoffs, let alone worry about trying to go through each round. So it's definitely been just an up and down year. I mean, I kind of laughed about it last week. I'm like, yeah, that seems about right. We should finish last before we go to the championship race. Like, I mean, why not for the way the year's gone? So, but yeah, I think that's why, like I said, it's I want to win this championship. You know, for me personally, it's something that you add to a resume. Like I said, that a lot of people that don't get the opportunity. But does it change my life whether I'm standing in victory lane with the championship on Saturday? It doesn't change my life. I know what I'm doing next year. I know that Matt and Christy made the commitment to me that I can be here for as long as I want to be. But the satisfaction might change other people's lives inside the race team, and that's where the determination and the intensity that this weekend will come from, is trying to bring a championship to Matt and Chris and all the men and women, because I've seen the hard work, and I feel like at times this year I've let them down. So that's like it means more to me for them than it would ever for me.
How do you see
that Homestead win was so dominant? Do you guys feel like you found that extra gear or something? They found something in that race per se?
I don't know. I mean, we've been pretty well at Homestead all 3 years there. We just really hit on something that weekend. I think that it just shows the capability that RCR has. If we come to the racetrack this weekend here at Phoenix and we do everything right, do everything that we did at Homestead, and we hit the balance right, that we can compete with any of these three. So that's the biggest thing for us is, we normally start off a weekend where we're probably not where we want to be, and we're a little off, and we have to really work hard to kind of get to that level. And we didn't have to do that at Homestead. Homestead was just one of those races where we unloaded. We wasn't great, but we didn't really work on the car much because we thought we were going to be decent in the race, and sure enough, we were really, really good.
And given that there's some people online that would criticize that you only win super speedways, how rewarding was it to not only win at Homestead but dominate the way you did?
Yeah, I mean, people that say that are just uneducated. You look back at my truck days, I've won on every type of racetrack you can think of, road courses, dirt track even, mile and a half, that type of stuff. So, I knew it was just a matter of time. Obviously, I've won at Las Vegas in the Xfinity Series. I've won at Pocono on a late race restart. So we know that we're capable of winning at all these other racetracks. It's just the matter of getting the job done, coming with really fast prepared Bennett Chevrolets, and we've been able to do that for a lot of the season this year. Just a lot of races haven't went our way. There's been a lot of races though this year that we feel like we missed out on a win on, even some road courses this year. So we're up front each and every week. So the people that say that, they're just uneducated.
And then for Phoenix this weekend now, did you guys bring a brand new car? Is this a car you've used at Phoenix in the past or any other places during this year?
Brand new, never hit the racetrack. So there's good things and I guess bad things of that. I think there could be a few bugs that we have to work out, but it's a good thing that we have a 50-minute practice. But anytime that you can bring a brand new race car to the track with all the new bells and whistles on it, it should be better. So fingers crossed it is.
Let's talk a little bit about preparation. Andy Street said that you guys used some of the short tracks leading into it just for Phoenix to try to prepare. Can you kind of tell us what that game plan was?
Yeah, with the short tracks this year, we were kind of hit or miss on some of our short track program stuff. Martinsville was a great weekend for us to try something to see if it would work. Obviously, on paper, it looked like it was going to work, or they wouldn't have put it in the car, and we just missed it at Martinsville. But we did learn some things from Martinsville on some things to maybe apply and things not to apply for next year. And yeah, I mean, all the short tracks that we've ran this year, I feel like we've hit up on some things. We've been fast. Some of our finishes don't show it. Iowa, we were running second. That's kind of a short track there, right? And Iowa, we were running second and had a tire go down and ended our day. And there's been some other racetracks where we've had some good showings and the finishes don't show it at the end of it. So I think our short track program has gotten a lot better over these 3 years that I've been at RCR. And, even looking back at last year's championship race here, I qualified second, ran inside the top 5 a lot. And I just didn't want to impede on any of the championship 4 when it came down to the end of it. And we finished 7th or 8th. So if we can come and unload like we did last year here, we have a really good shot at it.
And you said earlier, I believe, that you were checking out Cole's previous race here from the championship for just to study and learn what he did to make yourself better.
Yeah, I've watched really all the in-car cameras from last year with all 4 champ cars. Watched a lot of Allgaier's in-car just because I know how good he is here, and he had an issue early last year and had to come back through the field. Just seeing how he was working his way through traffic, that type of stuff. And then when I watched Cole's, I noticed that he was doing a lot of shifting towards the end of the race in 3 and 4, which was a little eye-opening. I mean, I know that people shift here every now and then, but we've never been a team that does a whole lot of shifting. So we actually had to change our transmission ratios going into this weekend to allow us to run 3rd gear in 3 and 4, and maybe even in 1 and 2, depending on how the race transpires and really how much the pace slows down. So we have all the plays in our playbook, and now we just got to go out and execute.
Finally, your first time here, but you're
Racing at Phoenix, and do you feel like it's a track that suits your driving style?
Phoenix has not been the greatest to me over the years on maybe my driving style or the way I approach the racetrack. I definitely think that RCR and myself have gotten better on the short tracks. In a place like Phoenix, we've gotten a lot better. So I have a lot more confidence going into this weekend than maybe I would have had last year, even though last year we ended up being very good here. So, yeah, I mean, I think Phoenix is a great place for us. I think that even though our short track program could always be better, I think that this year has been one of those years where our short track program has really amped up our game, and we've learned a lot throughout the season, so we're going to be good.
It's safe to assume that you're going to be back RCR full-time next year.
Yeah, so I'm a multi-year. Next year I'll be full season, and then 2026 is kind of an option year for me.
Okay, thank you.
For practice, for practice, is there a target, like lap times, average times, fall off speed that you guys are looking for, to where you'd say, okay, we're in good shape if you meet
Well,
it?
it's always a little different each and every year that you come here. Last year it was a lot hotter weekend. I think it was like in the 80s. This weekend's going to be like low 70s. So really, until we get out on the racetrack and see kind of what the lap times are showing, we won't really know. But once we start getting out there and we see where we stack up on the fast lap, and then you start going in the 5-lap average, 10-lap average, 15-lap average, that'll give us a good reading on where we need to be better at. Do we need to be better on the short run, the long run, or do we need to be better at both? So really, until we get started tomorrow on Friday practice, we won't really know where we stack up yet.
Thank you.
This is Custom Patch Hats. But what makes us custom? Well, that actually begins with you. We're just bringing your unique vision to life. No knockoffs, no lookalikes. Your design is one of a kind. We know hats, we know design, and we know quality. The proof? It's in our production. Hand-stitched with precision and care, with brands you know and trust. A one-of-a-kind patch deserves a one-of-a-kind treatment, all the way to your doorstep. It's how we keep it custom.
Jared Haas with Frontstretch.com. Come back soon for more great racing videos. And if you like us, make sure to hit that subscribe button.